Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of On Stage on Fave Unite TV. I am your host, Bukeka Style, and I am so excited to bring up two amazing women for this broadcast today. So make sure that you subscribe, follow, share, all the things as far as making sure that you get a chance to know when new episodes are coming and so that you can share this wonderful information with your friends. Remember, Fave Unite TV stands for Fans, Artists, and Venues. If you are a fan of Black stories and Black storytelling, then you have come to the right place. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce our guest today. We have the wonderful Krystal M. Harris, and she is an acclaimed actor. Harris studied abroad at the Actor Studio to aid in her storytelling journey and to discover how actors interpret scripted material. She further honed those skills in Los Angeles, working as a commissioned writer for Beacon Pictures and helping to develop features for their slate. She has been placed in several festivals with her pilot, The New Jim Crow Majority Rules, which won Best Pilot at the New York City Web Fest. However, she is also an amazing entrepreneur. She is the recent owner of Club Pilates Madonna West in Madonna, Georgia. Now, we have an extra treat. She is here with her mother, Tamar. Tamar is a retired attorney and is living her passion now, helping vets, getting them the benefits and helping them get all the things that they need to have a wonderful life where they can thrive. And we are excited to have these two beautiful women on our show today on Fave Unite TV. So I would like to go ahead and bring our guest to the stage. Hello, ladies. How are you today?
Hi, Vikeka. Good to see you again.
Hello, it's great to be here.
Great to see you again, Krystal, and so nice to meet you. Want to make sure that everyone knows you both for all of the wonderful work that you're doing in so many creative ways and in business, health, and just being a gift to to people around the country and around the world. So I'm going to start it off by just moving into that whole aspect of storytelling, since that's what Fave Unite TV is all about. Krystal, you have an amazing story. And I'd like for you to just share with our audience a little bit about your story but also in particular, why telling that story is so important to you.
That's a really good question. I really got into storytelling because I guess it's what I've always meant to do, but I arrived at it piece by piece, starting off with acting, and then after getting into acting and learning that the limitations were there, but I love portraying characters, but I wanted to go deeper. And so then I started writing. And then from there, it wasn't just about me. It was about, oh, wow, I could just create worlds. And then it showed that there was actually things I could do to give opportunity to other people by making these stories. And so I started writing scripts, and then I transitioned into making those scripts a reality and became a producer and a director. And then I went further to write books and became an author. And so I'm always looking to add on to my skill set. And I tell my story piece by piece because it's important to for people to understand that you may have a goal, but it's not necessarily going to present itself all at once the way you think it will. It might be adding on your skill set, and then suddenly you look back and 10 years have passed and you've done more than you set out to do. But it's about following that path and still having a passion and going for it full force. And you're going to come out so much more well-rounded on the other side.
I agree. I agree. And when you continue to follow your passion and when you have a sense of knowing who you are, then it's important to tell that story because first of all, you can't hide it. I think for those of us that are living, they're passionate or doing the things that they love to do, you don't want to, like we said in that song, Little Light of Mine, right? You don't want to hide it under a bushel, right? You want it to be in the light and you want to share that information and share that story. But then the thing that comes out of it on the other end is that other people gravitate to it and they find their personal story when they hear someone like you share theirs. So I really love the fact that you are doing that. And now I also want to make sure that I give your mom, Tamar. Did I say that right? Tamar? Okay, perfect. There we go, Mom. So tell us a little bit about your story.
I'm 68 years old, so I'm going to have to condense it. When I was 18 years old, I'm the oldest of 11 children. When I was 18 years old, I quit college to join the Women's Army Corps. Back then, they only let women we had our own corps. 2 years later, they brought us into the regular Army. And I spent my career there, but they trained me as a paralegal. And that's when it started. That's when it started. So after I got out of service, I went to Berkeley Law School. After I graduated from Berkeley, I started working with some big firms and everything. And I'm going to shortcut that part. I've been in practice 38 years, but I worked for some big firms. And so all along, I knew that I wanted to work with veterans. I can't even explain why. I just knew that that was something that I wanted to do, but it wasn't an opportunity to do it at the time. So anyway, fast forward 3 years ago, I retired from the state, working with the state of California as an environmental law attorney, and I opened my veterans practice. And then I found I've been a lawyer a long time. I've done business, I've done everything. I have never found an area of law as challenging as this. It's federal. I practice throughout the whole United States. It has a lot of regulations because it's federal. And it is very convoluted and difficult. You have to be extremely creative when you draft your arguments and when you go in and try to get benefits for your veteran. And there's nothing more elating to get a huge settlement, which happened twice last week, to my veterans. But it's devastating when you lose and you constantly lose. And so, but I realize now that this is what I've always been meant to do, but I also realized that had I not done the other, I wouldn't be so good at this.
Right. Isn't it wonderful? Because I know you said you were 68. Well, I'll be 63 next right after the
No way.
yeah.
I don't
And
believe
so
it.
isn't it fantastic that at the stage where we are in life, we still find the next most wonderful thing, and it all stems from, at least in my case, I remember when I was a little girl and um and I was always doing something. At least my mother would tell me, you're always leading something. You're always leading, getting people to do things or showcasing something special. And so, it's always there. It's always there, and it's that whole thing of coming into more and more of what you've always been here to be. So I love that. I love that, and thank you for sharing that. um so the two of you are doing your own wonderful work in the world, and you're also doing some work together, right? Okay. All right. So either one of you can start. Tell me about that. Tell our audience about working together and what it is that you are doing.
You want to say? Want me
No, you started this thing. You just go on and tell it.
Um, so years ago, she said I started it, but it's really her fault. Years ago, I was working and trying to be, I don't really like fitness. I mean, I like it, but I don't like working out. And so what I have always done is things that would inadvertently get me a workout. I would learn a skill that would inadvertently get me a workout. And so at this time, I had started practicing aerial arts. So, silks and yoga, lira. So I loved it. And they told me, as long as you're strong enough and flexible enough, you can do anything in aerial. And so my mom, she was like, you should work. So I told her, maybe I'll take some yoga. She's like, you should really do Pilates. Pilates gets you really strong. And, it's low impact. And so I looked up a Pilates studio near me and I started going, and she was right. It was phenomenal. And the best part, you get to work out lying down. So inadvertently getting that workout. And so I really loved it and I became a practitioner. And of course, I'm looking around while I'm taking the class, like this would be interesting to, be an instructor one day. This would be interesting to have one of these, and then years later, I realized there was a need in the city I lived in Georgia. There was no reformer Pilates studios nearby, and I was driving 45 minutes to go to one. And I was like, you guys should really open one out here in McDonough, open in McDonough. And they were not interested in that area at all. In fact, when I went and looked deeper into it, I they had to draw the territory, and that was just not a territory they were looking at. And then they said, "Hey, there's actually something here." And this is me contacting corporate, and I don't know who I am to have the gall to do that, but I just looked it up, and I was like, "Oh, I guess you can own these yourself." So I think I want to say it was this time, exactly this time, where we are in the new year. So it was like when I was visiting home for the holiday, and I came to my mom. I said, I think we should open a Club Pilates in McDonough. And she was like, okay, Krystal, another harebrained idea, right? But anybody who knows me knows that if I put my mind to something, it's probably going to be done. And that was 2 years ago. This time 2 years ago, and then I kept going, and I was like sharing it all with her, and she's like, I don't know. And then I said, Mom, I think you should join me on this. This was your whole thing 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And it took some convincing, but she's in it now.
Yeah, so basically too, I was doing Pilates and I started in 2006 because it was at one point I was very overweight and it was something I could do. I cried when I did my first class. I said, "You mean I can move this large? I can actually move." And I loved it. Lady had her reformers in her apartment and it was wonderful. But I did, there, like she says, reformer Pilates, there wasn't a lot. So I found Club Pilates here in my neighborhood, and I started going there. And then COVID came. And so they opened and shut, but I bought my whole set of equipment and I have it out in the garage. So all of that background of doing that, and I've also had several joint replacements, and that's something that Pilates is, you can just, it's for any, Pilates for anybody, and anybody.
Yeah, for
So
everybody.
yeah, everybody, yeah. And so, but yeah, like I liked it, but I didn't know if I wanted to own one. I mean, I'm trying to cut what I'm doing. Okay, I'm retired now, but she was very persistent. And I can't even say how I got it. She got me. It was gradual. And now I look back and see that I'm here, but oh my God, how right she was. How right she was. That area we've been getting such a great response. And it's because wellness and those kind of things, especially in that area,
And for our community.
and for our community. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Our community. And Krystal, I have always said, and Club Pilates just has that philosophy, but we've always said we want to create a community of people coming. You can get very close with the people you do Pilates with in terms of friendships and things like that, and instructors and everything. And so she was absolutely right. It was unbelievable the response that we got. So yeah, so we're in the thick of it now. We opened 2 months ago. So
Let me tell you, audience, okay? if you think that you won't get a workout by doing Pilates because it is a very relaxing, you are so wrong. Okay. Let me tell you, I remember my first Pilates class and, I got through all the exercises and I was like, this is beautiful. And about 2 days later, I felt everything. I felt everything. But that was the one thing about it that made me want to keep going because I knew it was working and I knew that it was something, it was a workout that I could get through. So that's one reason why I'm so excited that you guys are on here because of my own personal story with Pilates. And because strength is the one area that I know. I mean, I can do cardio, but strength is what really helps me to get off the inches, and build up that tone, and that's what we really are all looking for. So I have my own personal story with Pilates. I love Pilates, and so I'm looking forward to all of the success that you're going to have, that you are having with Club Pilates in McDonough. Georgia. So, tell me about what you have. Well, first of all, you've launched? You've had some. So tell me about all of that, all the launching and people coming in and the testimonials, all that good stuff.
Before that, I did want Krystal to explain also because you already said it, too. But what is the saying? How many classes you take?
Oh yeah. So Joseph Pilates, he actually came up with the formula, and it's after 10 classes, you're gonna feel the difference. After 20 classes, you're gonna see the difference, and after 30 classes, you're gonna have a whole new body. And I always tell people, because I had to tell them this over the phone, I say, listen, your body's going to be the same. Okay. I'm not a salesperson. You're not going to change your body. It's going to be the same body, but it's going to work the way it was designed to. So what Pilates really does is unlock the system of how the muscles work together, including your stabilizer muscles as well as your major muscle groups. And it really just activates your body. So normal things like driving, standing, sitting, walking up the stairs, all of this is now aided in the way the body was supposed to aid you. So all it does is wake it up. And that's what I love about it.
Check out the full episode of OnStage on Fave Unite TV. We think you'll love the short films, podcasts, and other amazing content on Fave Unite TV. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Fave Unite TV. We're here for Black stories and Black storytelling, showcasing the culture 24/7, 365 on Fave Unite TV.